Hello, I am Chad. This is my podcast, Not All There, which is part of the Limbic Podcast Network. I'm excited you are here because I have a wonderful conversation to share with you. I speak with Igor Wallaert, who is a holistic health coach. He created this system, the Effortless Health Framework, and what it focuses on is gut health, body movement, and how all that connects with the mind. And why we're talking about this on Not All There is that, physical health and mental health are a big part of recovery. They are part of my recovery. I should be more diligent about that. By God, I have to put that out there for a little bit of accountability. But once you get sober, once you get past these substances or whatever the addictive behavior is, and you start to come up with a new way of life, a new routine, that physical movement, whether it's walking, running, exercise of any kind at a gym, swimming, biking, it's a really big part of helping you to get into a new lifestyle, a new way of life. And through that, mentally, you become a little clearer, you feel a little more calm. And the way that Igor approaches this, I think will be very fundamental for a lot of you in your recovery. I think it'll be a great framework to have in your day-to-day as you go about like this new evolution of you. Recovery is not a destination. It's a long and winding path that's filled with changes, ups and downs, and evolution of yourself. And if you stick with the same old routines, it's going to get stale, and you're going to find that things don't work for you like they did before. So incorporating something like what Igor does, the work that he does, I think will be very valuable to a lot of you. All right. It's like 7 degrees here in Chicago, and my ass is frozen, and so is my tongue. I just got back from walking my dog, and my face still fucking hurts. Anyway, I'm stepping inside. You are going to listen and enjoy this conversation with me and Igor Wallaert. All right, welcome in. I am joined here with Igor Wallaert. And Igor, thanks for coming on, man. It's a pleasure to have you. I know we've been chasing each other back and forth for a little while now, so welcome in.
Thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
I'm happy we finally made it work. My pleasure. So you mentioned you just moved. Where are you at now? So people listening or watching can have an idea of where you are in the world.
So I live in Belgium, but I lived in Norway for a year, only 5 months ago, but we moved back to Belgium, back to where I started.
Isn't it funny how it always goes full circle? You leave, but yet you can't help but not come back home.
Yeah, we were planning to stay there forever, but life doesn't always go the way you plan it, right? So,
dude, no, it does not. It never does. No matter how hard you try, man, it never goes the way you planned it. Now, I like what you are doing as far as work and health wellness goes. So why don't you give the listeners just a little bit of a rundown on what it is, the type of work that you do. And then I'd like to kind of find out a little bit about, what happened before you got into this and what led you to it. So what is it you do?
So I coach young single men that struggle with a sense of hopelessness and bad health to basically achieve a thriving state of effortless health for the rest of their life. And I do this through some very simple principles, some very simple processes. But obviously, although these processes are simple in theory, in practice, it's not always that easy, right? And that's the way it goes with everything. So that's why I'm here to help.
Simple process for complicated people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I do this in a holistic way, both mentally and physically, because I strongly believe that you cannot really separate the physical and the mental.
I agree with that.
They're both very important feedback loops that feed off each other, obviously. So if you improve the physical, you're going to improve the mental. If you improve the mental, you're going to improve the physical. So obviously you got to do both.
That's right. So how long have you been doing this?
I have only just started doing this.
Okay.
I started the program about a half a year ago. But I've been coaching people before that. I am a personal coach. I'm also a certified GAPS coach. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
I don't. I was reading about that on your website, and I wanted to ask you. So what is GAPS?
GAPS basically stands for Gut and Psychology Syndrome. It's about the link between your gut health and your brain health. but very simply. And it's like a way of diet to basically heal your gut so that you can also start healing a lot of like mental stuff. And this goes from ADHD to severe things like autism, etc., depression.
Yeah.
Like a lot of this stuff starts in the gut.
Yeah.
So for me, that's very important to start with like the physical healing, because you can get better mindsets and stuff. You can have the best TED talks, but if you're just if your gut is in shambles, then none of that stuff will work.
Yeah, if your gut's fucked, you're fucked. Pretty much is what we're.
Yeah, basically.
So, well, obviously, you kind of came to this or discovered this on your own within yourself. So something led you to this, and you were in your early 20s when you figured this out. Is that right? So what was going on, and how did you figure this out?
Yeah. So I guess I kind of figured this out by, I don't know if I would call it sheer luck, but like there was just, I remembered this day very vividly. And I think a lot of people have
the white light moment, the divine intervention, whatever people want to call it.
Yeah,
right?
That's the right term. Like the divine intervention, like
the heavens open.
To me, it was like God telling me, you have to do something. You have to change.
Right. Yeah. I can relate to that. Yeah.
I think a lot of people can, right? So I just came from the toilet basically, and I saw like my gut lining in my stool, which is like it's obviously not something you want to have.
You don't want to see that, man.
And I was already feeling kind of really shitty the past few years, kind of in a downward spiral, and that was just like that moment for me. Like it snapped. Like, okay, this is not right. I don't think I'm supposed to feel this way. I don't think my health is supposed to be this way. I have to do something about this. So I started researching online, like a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. And actually, one of the first things I stumbled upon was the GAPS diet, which is quite alternative thing. But that led me into like the whole health rabbit hole.
Sure. And that's a big rabbit hole. Yeah.
Holistic health, the alternative health world. And then after like a year of actually applying these things to my own life, I came to a point where I realized, like, holy shit, this is what I was supposed to feel like for my entire life.
Right.
Because up until then, I never felt that good. And obviously, if you've never felt that good, you don't even know.
You don't know
that you're supposed to. Yeah.
Right.
Like you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. So you don't know you're supposed to feel that good. And that just made me even more passionate, obviously. And I started helping like friends, people close to me. And then eventually started seeing clients.
So, obviously you had some internal anxieties, turmoils, things like that led to the incident with your stomach lining. What was going on? Was it just like day-to-day life? Were you experiencing certain things? Was it habits? I mean, what was leading you to feel as shitty as you did? Because I think a lot of people maybe are experiencing similar symptoms, if you will, but don't understand that it's a certain aspect of either their mental state or their lifestyle or both. I know that at least here in the States, society just is always very, it's I believe sort of an overused word, but it is really toxic. It's about pushing and pushing and pushing and not really caring for yourself. Work hard, play hard, but never any like self-care. And that's to me, it's a critical part of life, is making sure that you are healthy first before you do anything. So what was it that you were doing that led you to feel this way?
Well, I think it's not really what I was doing. It's a lot of the stuff I wasn't doing.
Okay.
So like what you're talking about, like really taking care of myself. Like I wasn't really taking care of my health. I was just not eating well. I was not sleeping well. I wasn't doing any sports. And I think I also struggled with like a sense of hopelessness, like really like, what's the point? But then...
Were you angry?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What were you angry at? Because that's a very, it's a thing, is like, as two men sitting here, like as men I was very angry growing up for various reasons, but I carried anger for a long time. And it was something that you couldn't necessarily express, and it was sort of accepted that there's this baseline level of anger that's tolerable and accepted and almost expected within men. So how angry were you, and do you know what it was that was making you so angry?
I think, it's not really what I was doing. It's a lot of the stuff I wasn't doing. Like I wasn't really taking care of myself. I was just not eating well. I wasn't doing any sports. And I think I also struggled with like a sense of hopelessness, like really like, what's the point? But then... I mean, first of all, I love that you mentioned this, because as men, like, we always tend to switch all our emotions to anger, right? Like, if we feel sad, we'd rather feel angry. If we feel hopeless, we'd rather feel angry.
And it's accepted in a way. It's like, oh, well, we'll just let him get that out.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but what was making me angry? There wasn't really anything external, but to me, you make it external, right? But obviously, it's all internal.
Right.
But then you just look for scapegoats, because the hardest thing we can do as people is looking in the mirror, right?
Absolutely. We refuse to do it. We can't accept it.
Yeah, we try to find all sorts of things to put the blame.
Oh yeah. All kinds of distractions to do it. Like, oh, my house, my car, the way I look, what I drive, where I live, who I sleep with, whatever.
Yeah, so I was basically just mad at the world, mad at a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But obviously the only person I should have been, well, not really mad at, but looking at, was myself.
Yeah. Okay, so you discovered this GAPS program. Talk about that. What is it? So GAPS diet, kind of break that down.
Okay, so very simply, it's a diet specifically to heal your gut lining. And it's at the start, it's very restrictive. It's mostly based on meat stock. So it's not bone broth, but meat stock, which is like the whole baseline.
Right.
And then you start adding things slowly. And it's mostly based on meat, high fat products, mostly animal products, really. Because plant foods are hard to digest for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they can actually, despite the fact that we've been told that we have to eat our vegetables to be healthy, they can actually cause a lot of chaos as well. Now, obviously, if your gut is perfectly healthy, it's totally fine. But if, like, the vast majority of people in modern society struggle with some sort of gut issues and have some sort of gut lining issues, and vegetables do cause issues for a lot of them. So no vegetables at the start. Yeah, so that's the very basics of it, really.
It's true that, I mean, look, living in the States, man, everybody's just in poor health here. It is difficult and often expensive for people to live this lifestyle of more or less clean food, right? So how did you go about first, like, I guess I would say maintaining this diet? What were you doing? Was it, did you do a lot of preparation at home, and how did you source it? I guess was the word I was looking for. How were you able to source these food sources that you were using?
So I personally started at the supermarket, just,
okay.
And I teach people this as well, like, just start eating real food. Obviously the quality of your food is very important, but eating real food with like some pesticides or antibiotics in it is still a lot better than eating McDonald's. So just start with whatever you can. And then as you go, just like I did, you start looking at sources for your food. And in Belgium, I'm quite lucky. There's like a lot of farm stores and stuff where I can go, where I can find actually good quality foods that aren't completely poisoned. But in the States, yeah, I read a lot about the States, and it's quite crazy over there, supposedly.
It's fucking nuts. Yeah, it really is. I grew up out in the country, and, we didn't have much, but we would raise cows. We had a beef cow, and we would go deer hunting and fishing a lot, and raised our own. So yeah, it was great. I mean,
it's awesome.
It took me a while to appreciate it. But yeah, it was a great lifestyle. And so for us, it was easy to do that. And, living in Illinois in the Midwest, like, in Chicago in particular, but, a 2-hour drive outside of here, you can go find a farm or a rancher, and, you can buy meat or bones. And it's a little bit of time. It's probably less money, but you're also supporting the other part of this. I think that is important for people to listen to is by changing this lifestyle, you're not only helping yourself, but to source what you need to make this work well for you and to thrive. You can actually go to the source of the people that provide this. It's sort of like helping the farmer out, helping the community out by going and purchasing their meat, their produce, whatever it is that they're selling. So I think that for me, at least here in the States, that's a key component. If you find yourself in an area where it's just a little bit of a drive to go and find and source this stuff, it's worth it to do that. So at prepping at home, my wife went to culinary school, so I'm very fortunate with that, but we make a lot of like our own stocks at home, usually for like soup bases. But Now, to do like a beef stock, is that something that you produce at home, or do you go and source it from somebody else?
It's always best to produce it at home. Also because like the ones you buy, at least in Belgium, that are pre-produced, it's extremely expensive compared to...
Yeah, dude. Rather than just go into like a butcher and get some bones, you know?
It does take a little bit of time, but it's not that much time because you just put the meat in and you just let it simmer. So it's not like something you have to do actively for 2 or 3 hours, right?
Exactly. They have these things, Instapots, that we have one, and it makes broth in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And you're good to go. So walk me through your program. So if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, look, I'm pissed, I'm unhealthy, I really am just like miserable with who I am at this point, and obviously what you've done for yourself has worked. How can you help me? I need help. What can we do?" And how does that work for that person? How do you approach that?
Well, so the first thing I do is try to make them really look in the mirror by teaching them some basic mental health principles, really, which is like tracking your emotions and actually writing them down and being mindful of those emotions. And there's like a whole victim mindset system inside the program that I learned from my mentor. And you basically track your victim mindsets so you can reinterpret them later through the reinterpretation process. And that actually keeps you motivated to do the program. And eventually it makes you motivated internally to do the program, because everyone starts the program and starts to do all these things to reach some certain outcome, right? But ironically, in life, like if you're doing to have, you're never going to have. So you have to do to because you love doing internally, and that's also one of the very, very important things that I teach inside the program, because that's something I've struggled with for almost my entire adulthood myself. Like you're always doing stuff and trying to reach this sort of outcome, but then you eventually always crash back to where you started, because
it's like being the ability to be present, right?
Right.
To just move forward and be present. Keep moving, keep trying to progress and evolve, however that may look for you. But
yeah, and love the process of evolving. Yeah, instead of evolving in the hope of achieving whatever, right?
Right. Yeah, that's, I do work in addiction recovery, mental illness recovery. And, I say that however you choose to live a life of recovery, it's a process, it's a program, whatever it is that you're using. But as you evolve, your recovery is going to need to evolve too, because, things work for you until they don't. And you can't expect to continue to be doing the same thing over. I mean, that's the baseline for insanity. So that's, to me, we're trying to be as present as possible through each process, because that's also where the fun is, man, because that's when you get to experience new cool things and learn new things about other people and about yourself. So you do this mental health check-in, this self-assessment essentially, and I'm assuming it's probably like a daily process of this assessment of writing, journaling, whatever it is that you recommend. When do you start working into the diet and the physical aspect of it?
So after the second part is where I just start doing the physical and the diet stuff. And like in the course, it's structured kind of in a weird way, but I think it works best that way, which is obviously why I did it like that. So at the start, I just tell them like, look, don't ask any questions. You're going to start doing this. You're going to start adjusting your diet. You're going to start going to the gym, obviously in more detail, but because it's just important to get that feedback loop going.
Yeah.
And it's going to start feeding itself quite fast. Like if you actually fix your diet very well, after 4 weeks, the amount of difference people feel is just so crazy that often they don't really need extra motivation anymore to do it, because they're just motivated by the very fast and good results. And then,
there's like probably a level of desperation that they have when they're coming in. So when you're just like, you're going to the gym today, they're like, oh, okay, whatever, so that may help too.
Yeah. But if they're coming in, then at least they've already reached the point where they know,
exactly.
I gotta do something.
Something
so
needs to change.
Yeah. I might as well give this a try for a couple of weeks and see how it goes. Because if you don't have that, then obviously nobody can help you, right?
The only person that can help you is yourself, and you're going to have to want
Yeah.
to get the help. That's the other thing. You can't expect someone just to come and say, all right, I'm going to listen to this person, and this guy's going to tell me some things and I'm going to be fixed. It's like, well, no, man, you have to do the work. That's the thing that people miss the boat on, is that in order to make change, you have to put in work. But, it's the going to the gym thing, no pain, no gain bullshit. But that's, it's pretty true, man. Like, they just don't tell you about the internal work that you got to do along the way to really reach the mountaintop, so to speak.
And that's where the victim mindsets come in.
Yeah.
Because as humans, like, it seems like our default is always to go to like some sort of victim mindsets, excuses basically, and put something like the blame externally, and find all sorts of reasons why you shouldn't go to the gym, or why you shouldn't change your diet, or why you can't. So that, yeah, it's extremely important to change those things.
Yeah. If you look back through history, you're always going to see that, because there's always someone else to blame. It's either an entity or a group or what have you, but there's always something or someone to blame.
I personally believe that if everyone fixed their own victim mindsets, that there would be world peace, probably.
Shit, man. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a heck of a lot nicer than it is now. Like, just own your shit, right? Like, hey, look, I'm really sorry that happened. Like, okay, but can we just leave it back there? Don't forget it. Just leave it back there and let's move forward. Okay. But man, it's almost as if like certain systems in place are structured in a way to prevent you from thinking that. I don't know.
I think you're on the right track there.
Yeah, we'll just, we don't need to get into that rabbit hole here. Now, obviously, the body is designed to sort of calibrate itself. So as you start working on the gut and the body itself, is that when, have you noticed in your work that the emotional aspect starts to transition as well? Like bringing awareness, like, okay, at first is like you need to look in the mirror and understand that you are angry, and you need to look at yourself and track that and put it on paper. Now, as you start to evolve the gut and the body, and then obviously everything is interconnected. So what is the process like, a couple of weeks in, 3-4 weeks in, when that clarity really strikes? What do you see in a person as far as their emotional transition or metamorphosis takes place? Do you notice that it's kind of similar in a lot of people, or is it more or less different? I'm real curious about that.
Well, first of all, they start to feel hopeful again, which was what they were looking for in the first place. At least
it's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
man.
Some kind of hope to start feeling better. I think that's the biggest thing. When you start like these positive feedback loops, it gets easier to keep them running, right? The hardest thing is to start.
Yeah.
And then if you just keep working on your victim mindsets, it's just going to be easier and easier to keep these feedback loops alive. The way it works, your life, it's kind of hard to explain, but you can see it as like some sort of web of feedback loops, where you have like little negative feedback loops and positive feedback loops. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying.
No, I do. Like, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. So that was, I completely understand that. When I started to come out of the haze, once I was off the sauce for, a few months, and my body was able to, and my head was able to kind of like clear from that fog. And I had to address that the substances were more or less just the symptom of the greater cause. And the greater cause was, my mind and body. I think a web is a great way to picture, because scattered throughout this web, like you said, are negative and positive. And it's just a matter of, well, how can I tell the difference? And how do I start to focus on the positive and ignore the negative?
Basically, to strengthen the web.
Yeah, you strengthen the web. That's right. And, depending on what your negative feedback loop is, there's going to be some negative feedback loops that are just they're going to stay there. It's just a matter of what you can do to ignore them or redirect when they come up. And that, I think a lot of that probably happens for your clients through the exercise, through the diet. Now, you are probably surrounded by a lot of like nature, I take it, right? You're in a part of the world where, forest, water, hikes. I grew up out in the woods and in the country. Like, nature is a big part of my life. I just enjoy like standing next to and touching a tree and just, having a few moments with that. Like I can connect to that. And that's a big part of my recovery, my spirituality. I don't know if you work in spirituality or an open-mindedness towards that in your program or not. But for you personally, if you do, does nature play a large role in that?
So yeah, I love nature as well. But sadly, because I live back in Belgium now, there is sadly not a lot of nature.
Not enough. Okay.
It's actually why I moved to Norway. But yeah, it didn't go the way it was planned. So Norway is just all nature, and I absolutely loved it there. But due to circumstances, I had to come back. So now I'm back in the city, and I can just. But there's a forest like 10-minute drive. So
do you involve spirituality at all in your work with people, or is that you just kind of leave it up to them?
Spirituality, not really, because I think it's something very personal for people.
It is, yes, for sure.
So yeah, that's something I don't touch inside the program.
So how long do people typically work with you? If they reach out, you agree to work with them. How long are you talking about?
So yeah, we get on a call to get to know each other and see if I can help them if they want to be helped, and then they join the program. There's like weekly coaching sessions, calls. Mm-hmm. But the program itself is mostly self-learned. So it's like a bunch of modules with videos that teaches you everything you need to know. With the weekly coaching calls. And the program itself takes about 4 months, but obviously the process is a process that you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Right.
But a lot of people don't like to hear that up front.
But well, it's frightening.
Yeah.
But, because you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Even though it's miserable, you're comfortable in your own misery, right?
Like, am I gonna have to do these things for my entire life? Like, no, don't worry. The program actually teaches you to actually love doing these things. So that's one of the strong parts, I believe, of my program, that I have these systems and these processes in place that actually teach you how to actually love doing these things. So it doesn't matter that you have to do this for the rest of your life.
No. Yeah, I know. That was the conclusion that I had to come to. Like, I should never drink again. I'm not supposed to be doing that again, like for the rest of my life. Like, oh my, what? Now almost 12 years in, I'm like, yeah, it's the best thing I ever did. Well, where can people find you?
You can just find me on my website, which is just Igor Wallaert, coach.com.
Excellent. And do you have any social media handles they can find you at?
I have an Instagram, but I'm currently not very active on there.
Okay.
It's also just Igor Wallaert, because I'm mostly going through the podcasts right now.
Excellent. Oh, good for you. Yeah, it's fun. Thank you, man. This has been a pleasure. I've really, really enjoyed talking to you. I'm happy we finally got to speak, and congratulations and good for doing the work that you're doing, man, because, taking your time and giving back and helping others is really what we all need more of right now. So I'm really happy you're the guy doing that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I was able to be here, and I'm very happy to meet you, man. You're doing great work.
Oh, thank you, man. You too.
You are.
All right. Okay. Take care. That is one groovy dude. We had a really good conversation before, off mic, beforehand and after. I think you're going to be seeing a little bit more of Igor down the road. We connected on a lot of really good levels, and there's going to be some stuff that he and I are going to work together with that I think you'll find very informative. I know that I will, and I'd like to share that all with you. So please do keep checking back. You can find out more information about me at soberchad.com, about my coaching and all the offerings that I have there. Limbic.org, LYMBIC.org is the hub for all information about the podcast and what we're going to be doing there. We are going to be working our asses off to create and put out content that is going to be informative. It's going to be inspiring and educational on what it's like to live a life in recovery. And I'm really excited by this. And we are working diligently to get certified for our nonprofit status. We have filed here in Illinois. Should be getting that approval back soon. And then turning around and filing for the 501c3 tax deduction with the IRS, federal government. All right, everybody. I am stepping out. And I would like all of you to be kind and loving to yourself. Be kind and loving to others. Give yourself a big hug. We all could use a little more hugging, a little more attention, a lot more listening, and a lot less yelling. Okay, be good out there, everybody. Keep warm, keep safe, smile, be kind, all right? Work on that. I'll catch you next time. Take care.